So you're ready to do the podcast, laddies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'll talk about how Sean Connery was a wife beater.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Let me know. Let me know when you want to do the show.
Episode 123, SOTRT 123. Ivan, Jeff, and me. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Squares Roundtable Podcast. Episode, as you heard earlier, episode 123. 123.
Yay!
Same combination on my luggage. With me is Ivan.
Hey, how we doing, everybody?
And Jeff.
Hello.
Hi. So we had a good Halloween weekend, everybody?
Yeah, I guess.
We all got to hoard our candy that we didn't give out because keep the COVID away from the kids. So my candy.
Well, I didn't even bother buying any candy because I knew this was going to be a thing. I mean, once they locked everything down in the city here, it was kind of like everything was just, out the window as far as everything. It was like a ghost town down here. So it was so weird, But yeah.
You didn't see any kids in costume?
No.
Not a one?
Nope.
Wow.
Nobody out, nobody costumed up, nothing. Nothing.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in that point where, look, in some ways, I'm kind of glad that wasn't the case because, I get it. Kids want to do Halloween and all that, but it's with numbers spiking, people. There's got to be other ways to do this. And in fairness, I didn't get any candy. I decided my treat instead would just be, I would just get myself some of those honey wings from Jewel, which were just phenomenal.
Well, that's cool. I treated myself to a candy bar. I did that. I still got one left over. I'm probably going to enjoy later on between nuts. I got my Three Musketeer bar.
You know what? I think I'd extort my children about Halloween if I ever have them or I had them, which is, tell you what, don't worry about a costume. Don't worry about going out. We'll go the next day on November 1st when all the candy is half off.
At the store, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you can buy whatever candy you want and not have to worry about whether you got, like, the popcorn ball or some bullshit like that.
Well, I like popcorn balls though. I think popcorn balls are great anytime. No, they're not. They're great. I think they're great. I love popcorn balls.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, what I don't like is those.
But you
I don't
do
like
like
those
popcorn.
weird. I don't
though,
like
Jeff,
those
right?
weird candy corns.
Yeah.
I'm not a candy corn guy. I don't know.
I have less problem with candy. I have less okay, I don't want candy corn in what I get from what I get from in my treat bag, but I got no problems with candy corn. I have no problem with it. I'm not one of those people where everybody's like, "Oh my god, candy corn."
Well,
There are a lot of things that I'd much rather not eat than candy corn.
I am not viciously against candy corn. I just never liked candy corn. It's right up there with like licorice, like black licorice. And,
right. See, that would be
I never liked
right off the black
never
licorice is my number one with a bullet of hell and no.
No. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me three.
My dad liked black licorice.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Oosh.
There are more people than you think like that
yeah,
stuff.
I don't know.
Not a fan.
No, not at all.
I mean, I could do Twizzlers, of.
Oh yeah, the original strawberry Twizzlers. Yeah.
Yeah, the strawberry Twizzlers, and of course the later ones they had with the cherries, which are really good. They had chocolate out for a little while, which I was kind of a big fan of. But yeah, as far as like licorice, no, and that and black chiclets,
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, those are pretty foul too. And what other foul things that we don't want in the trick or treat bag?
I was never a fan of nerds.
No, that are Mike and Ike's. Not a fan of Mike and Ike's.
I was never a fan of nerds. I wasn't big on sweet tarts.
No, not a fan of.
Sweet tarts are okay for me.
I like lemon heads. I like those.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled on those either.
Or butterscotch, whatever hard candy, like butterscotch candies. I like those.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not against that.
Or
I like the
Lifesavers.
butterscotch.
Certain flavors of Lifesavers, but
Yes.
Right, but if you're getting it, but if that's what they drop in my bag for Halloween, you and me got issues right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know, there better be a lot of those that you're handing me
the
before,
split
like,
of 3 ways, man.
yeah, not just one. Yeah, that's not.
No, forget one. Let's talk about like 5. There better be like 5 of those. You know, to justify that you're giving out that kind of candy.
So hope everybody had a good Halloween. Hope everybody got some good clearance Halloween candy over the weekend after the Saturday.
I went to the Walgreens yesterday to get some water for my CPAP tank, and I noticed that there was no Halloween candy to be had. I don't think they even put it out.
Yeah, no, it was about a week and a half ago. I was at one of my Walgreens, and they had, with the rewards, your Walgreens rewards card or whatever, they had a bag of candy. It was like buy one, get one half off. I'm like, okay, I'll buy 2. So maybe it all sold out.
I assume the Reese's Pumpkins were probably on sale and still are if you can find them. Because like now it's like okay, who really wants those? You know, the real trick is you can't wait too long because it's like, how long has this been here? You know.
You better hope it's. You got to look at the expiration date. You better hope it's not from last year.
No. but I've seen some that I've walked into like gas stations where it's like mid-December and they still have pumpkins, and I'm like, dude, Halloween was like 2 months ago. You still got these? Jeez,
and this year was the
cow.
Halloween trend of like skeleton animals and creatures, like even like if there was like a small dog skeleton, the dog skeleton would have ears, which like that is not scientifically possible. But that's why that way you know it's a dog. But then there were like other ones like spiders and scorpions. Like these creatures don't have endoskeletons. Ugh.
What's funny though, I saw a few pictures. And one of my favorite ones, I guess, I don't know what suburb it was in, they had a bunch of skeletons doing a conga line on their front lawn, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I had one in my neighborhood that was pretty well decked out. It was skeleton cowboy riding a skeleton horse, like full-sized. It was huge. Huge. So anyway, so let's start with Ivan. Ivan, how was your week?
Well, it's been quiet. Yeah, it's just been quiet. Not a lot going on. Just did a lot of virtual DJ things. Hung out with Julie.
Yeah.
Let's see. Had a lot of good meals. Had a lot of good games of dominoes, which I got my ass kicked. Isn't there something when you teach somebody a game and then they become better than you?
The student has surpassed the master.
Oh, student has surpassed master.
Pretty much. And, she,
the dark side she has.
And then, of course, between that and playing, Words with Friends with You, which, by the way, I'm on Friends with 2. Friends with word number 2, Mike, if you want to continue where we left off and stuff, so.
Oh, I got to download the other one? All right. Yeah, that one kicking your ass there.
Yeah, no, you grabbed me by the badong on, a few games there, too. I think I got...
Metaphorically, not metaphorically.
I think I won 1 out of the 4 that we played, and I think I won the 1 by default. I think I ran one like a couple of points. Do you play, Jeff?
What? Oh no, I've been playing. What have I been playing? I've been playing Thug Life off of Facebook for some strange reason. That seems to have got my grasp. Some of the Facebook games. But I really should kind of look into some more like the word games and stuff. I just feel like shooting things lately.
Okay.
Your inner thug is just looking for a target practice, huh?
Yeah, it was funny. Somebody who was a friend of mine who's like, I don't think the word thug is some... And I'm like, okay, it's a game. Calm down. Obviously, at some point you played it, because otherwise I wouldn't be shooting at you and stealing your shit. Okay. now you've gotten to where it's like, oh, I'm above that. Well, at some point you weren't, because you did play at some point.
Well, that's just like when I used to play Grand Theft Auto, and and my nephew, saw how ruthless I was playing that game. And she's like, you know what, you're my uncle and you shouldn't be doing that kind of thing. I says, oh, what do you want me to do? Just take the car and go out for a drive in the country and burn up the gas or something? No, you go ahead, you drive up to people's houses, you kick the doors in, you shoot up the house, you steal the shit, you draw the shit in another car, you steal that car, and then you take off with that car.
And
not healthy, Ivan, not healthy.
And people wonder how they come up with ideas on how to ransack entire strip.
Yeah, how to do shit, right? Because they were exposed to this element.
Yeah, no, it's like this was well coordinated. Well, of course it was well coordinated. Anybody play D&D or Grand Theft Auto, hello.
You gotta have your supplies ready.
Yeah,
So you watch anything? You said you went to Walgreens. That's exciting. But anything else, Ivan?
No, like I said, just did virtual DJing. I was on for Spinning Wheel, and then I was on for Logan Arcade on Sunday, and then Saturday, like I said, we just played a lot of games and just kind of hung out in the house. We had a really nice meal, Julie and I, and that was pretty much it. Not like I said, not much happening. You
watch any Halloween movies? Anything to get you in the festive, spooky mood?
Well, we were going to go ahead, and I even announced it on Facebook. We were going to do Hocus Pocus. But after we got done with our really, really good meal, both of us kind of looked at each other and we were just kind of, okay, well, let's do some words with friends. And then we both headed off to the bedroom. And then by that time, we were so full and stuffed out because also, Julie made some chocolate cake.
Really? You went to the bedroom and you were full and stuffed out. Got it.
Yeah, we were full and stuffed out, full of food and stuffed out with cake.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you looking for intent here? Come on, Jeff. I mean, I'm not the puto that I used to be, man. I kind of.
Well, no, now you're the puto you used to be, just with cake.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, I had two delicious light chocolate, with frosting on top, chocolate cake, light and airy.
No more ghost pepper donuts for you?
No, that I will never do again. No.
How were your insides the day after that?
How did you? What was the aftermath of that?
Let me tell you something. Okay. It was not nice going out as it went in, okay? That was a lot of pain to endure. In fact, I even worked up something I didn't even want to get involved in. So, yeah, I paid a visit to the medicine cabinet after that ordeal. So, no, I ain't doing that again. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank Duncan, not us.
Yeah.
Thank No. I'm saying, okay, thank Duncan, but yeah. No,
the problem is we didn't get it on video because that was the real. Well, anyway, yeah.
Well, we didn't think of it at the time. I mean, it was.
I thought about it.
Well, why did you say I would film it and then But then see, this is not a visual medium that we do though.
We could have done that. We could have done that as a live Facebook event.
Well, yeah, you know what? You're right. We could have done that.
Next time, we'll find something.
Next time we'll make Mike buy the ghost pepper donut and let him do it.
We'll find something that isn't a ghost pepper donut. We'll find something that we should have done stuff like that for the chicken sandwich where we should have got the Popeyes one where we should have all got one at the same time and did something crazy like that.
Long ago when the chicken sandwich wars, that's what started this whole 2020 shit.
Yeah, chicken sandwich wars.
Yeah, that's what started it all.
So
weird. Jeff, how was your week?
Well, I'll skip to you first because my week was kind of weird. So,
okay. All right. Obviously watched episode 1 of season 2 of Mandalorian. And I'm not going to drop any spoilers here, but Well, it was an hour long, which most of these are like 40 minutes. This one was like a full hour. It was good. They go back to Tatooine. I'm like, all right. But,
well, sure, why not?
well, yeah, it's like, that's a big galaxy. But anyway, so, as from the events of Season 1, now the Mandalorian has been quested with finding the people of the Baby Yoda. So he's going around the galaxy trying to find other Mandalorians to help him guide his way.
Okay, so he's looking for more people Yodas.
No, he's he's going to send Baby Yoda back to its people.
Okay.
But this was good. I liked it. It's good mid-action. I liked it. It's like it still does play out like a Western.
So, I've been thinking about this. How many seasons do you think we're going to get of this where it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I've seen enough of him questing around to find where the Baby Yoda goes, to a point of where it's like, okay, I'm kind of done with this.
One season.
We'll see. We'll see what happens this season.
Because I have a feeling it's not going to just be done in season 2. I have a feeling this goes at least another season or 2.
Unless they brought it and make it long and length.
I mean, the only thing is that in fairness, there are only 8 episodes a season, so there's that. That it's not. We're talking like the Netflix 13 or a full regular network series season where you're talking 22, 23 episodes.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, in fairness, if you did this for 4 seasons, you're really talking about 32 episodes. It's not, and considering how much pacing and how much time is in between, maybe. I just think that if they're looking at this as I'm just wondering if they're looking at this as we're going to go about 4 seasons, or are we looking at, do we think we can go 10? If you're going to go 10, I don't think you can do 10 seasons.
We
had one season of him just being on the run with the child, with the valuable asset. But of course, he's still on the run from the remnants of the Empire and Moff Gideon and the Darksaber.
Right.
Well, our dad, they'll do the cursed Disney 3. Where they only do like 3 seasons and then call it a day. That's what they did with a lot of the series.
Well, but the fact that this episode was called Chapter 9, so it's still playing. It's episode 1 of season 2, but they call it Chapter 9.
Right.
But it was good. Had the guy from Deadwood. I don't know. I never watched Deadwood.
Nope.
But it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. And it's cool. I can watch them on Friday mornings before work.
So it's 8, because I'll be honest, I'm kind of like, I'm tempted.
So
I'm tempted to get Disney Plus to watch them when they come out. But there's a part of me where I'm like, I kind of laugh because I'm like, I could wait until they're done close to done in December.
Well,
and then
a month. Yes, wait another month, and then you can watch the end of season 2 as it airs.
Right.
Right. Well, the other thing I keep thinking isn't WandaVision coming out in December too?
Should be coming soon. I hope so. That's what I'm really looking forward to is WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Right. Well, I know WandaVision's supposed to be coming out late in, I believe in December, so I'm kind of like, It's that part where it's like, can I save a few bucks by waiting to not be... I will say this. I'm not seeing the spoilers or the craziness out there about Mandalorian like I did when season 1 hit.
Well, maybe they'll just run it, because you say there's 8 episodes, right? There's usually 26 episodes to a television season.
Usually, but this is streaming television. It's different from broadcast television.
Right, yeah.
But I'm saying, okay, so 8 would make a season, 16 would make 2, 24 would make 3. Okay? So I think they might wrap it up in 3 seasons.
Oh.
So that way they can cross the border if they wanted to.
I don't know. Maybe, but like I said, because they're starting in October. They start late October, so really they're going to be done somewhere. Late December?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 2 will be over by the end of the year. That's how it was last year.
I gotta find out when WandaVision is happening. I think that's the real answer to my question, because I feel like and Soul's coming out in December too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I may wait till December. There's a part of me where I want to watch these right now, but I'm like, I can wait.
Yeah, yesterday was the Day of the Dead, so I've been meaning to watch Coco. It's on Disney Plus.
What a great movie!
I heard it was a tearjerker.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Well, believe me, not going to drop any spoilers. But besides it being a visual sight for the eyes and the ears, it does have a really wicked plot twist. So I'm gonna leave it there.
Wow.
What else, Mike? It's an hour episode, the first one.
Yeah, season 2, episode 1 is almost. I think it's a full hour. You're usually they're a little shorter. Like I know people who rewatched season 1. I just watched the first episode the Thursday night prior before I watched season 2, and the first episode was still solid with the setup and him having to go to the planet and find the encampment and teaming up with the IG droid and finally finding the child.
Yep.
I really liked IG-11. He was cool. So Mando, season 2, it's coming full started. So. And like I said, I got my Mandalorian action figure. Yay!
Mike has it with him every time when the show goes on.
Yeah,
like,
his little Makoto buddy. No. Went to the McHenry Drive-In Theater last night. I haven't been there.
I saw you saw that. Tell us about it.
Well, it's been many years since I'd gone to the McHenry Outdoor, because it's right here in town. You never go because you always can. Or when the Rona hit, and when they reopened, it was made Chicago. They made big news in the city, almost national news, when this is the only functioning drive-in theater in the area. So they got the market cornered, and when they opened, there was line going in. So anyway, we got there, my buddy picked me up right after work, and we got there about 20 after 5. And he got pizza to go, so we got in. They searched our trunk. It's like, this is something they do now, I guess.
For what?
For stowaways.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the only that used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Stowing people in the trunk. If you had 6 people.
Yeah, well, they asked us to pop the trunk, and they had to look inside, and so we closed it right away, and that was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, I remember years long ago, we used to go to the drive-in, we used to hide one of my friends in the trunk of my friend's car.
Yeah.
So he got in for free.
The trunk of the car.
Yeah. So then we got in, we got parked, and we ate our pizza and just listened to the music. It was on an FM station. It used to be, growing up, it was an AM station you'd listen to, but now it's FM, so it's in stereo. And they had a little stage set up. We bought the mid-level, not way in the back, but it was, I say in the back half of the lot. Mm-hmm. And we were in a car. We weren't in a truck. So got to see some of the stage, but the 2 little white dots on the stage up front were the heads of Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. We got to see them on the screen, obviously, too. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I know we didn't rush the stage. It's cold out, man. So, yeah, we stayed in the car. We had to start it every now and then just to be sure that we weren't cold, and then the windows weren't fogging up. But they talked for about an hour and 20 minutes. for the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast, which was a podcast that Kevin started to help keep Jason sober. And Jason Mewes has been sober for over 10.5 years now.
Wow.
So good on him. So because he had some, I remember what he said when making a couple of his movies. He was talking about how he couldn't wait to go to the bathroom so he can go and do a line of coke.
Wow. Well, smoochy boochies.
That's right. Yeah, Jason. He almost. But now he's a dad, and Kevin's kept him straight, and that's what this podcast is for. So it was funny. They had some good conversations talking about McHenry, Illinois. It's weird when you hear celebrities say you're like McHenry, Illinois, because it's like this is my hometown. And apparently he had family. They visited here once, but anyway, I want to talk about all of what he was talking about. But that's his connection to McHenry and why he had it in Dogma.
McHenry was in Dogma?
Yeah, that's where the female protagonist met Jay and Silent Bob.
Is it? I missed that.
Yeah. Because Jay and Silent Bob they saw all those John Hughes movies. So they thought they can go to see where the John Hughes characters were and sell drugs to them, sell pot.
That's not where the John Hughes. Oh, you mean the John Hughes characters are down near where I live. Mm-hmm. But okay.
But he mentioned McHenry because he went there once as a kid. He and his family. They came to Chicago, and then they drove out to McHenry to visit overnight with friends, and that was it. So, but anyway, it was good. It was fun. It was cool. Like I remember Kevin Smith went to I think it was at the Rouse Center in Crystal Lake many years ago when he was doing his an evening with Kevin Smith tour years ago.
Yeah,
and we didn't go, and then. I said after Leonard Nimoy died, Nimoy was at the Rouse Center, and me and Bill were like, maybe we'll get tickets, and we didn't. And then Nimoy died, and we're like, we should have gone to that. So me and my friend were like, yeah, when's the next time they're ever going to come back to McHenry? Probably not. So it was fun. It was a good time, and they talked, like I said, about an hour and 20 minutes. That was fun. I had a good time.
So it was only an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that seems. How much were tickets?
We had to split one because initially we thought his wife wanted to go, but it was just the two of us, so we had to split the ticket 2 ways. So it was like $50.
Okay, that's not horrible.
No, not bad. And they had a merch booth that there's Bill's like, I see a tent over there. Maybe that's where they're staying. So he jumped out of the car to go look and see what the tent was. And it was their merch booth, like all T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't.
So what do they talk about? I mean, do they just talk about themselves, or do they talk about comic shit, or do they talk about shit we talk about?
They didn't talk much pop culture. I guess this is part of this Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast is that they usually have where Jason would tell a funny story, usually sexually related. It's like some sexual adventure between him and his wife. And
looks like Jeff.
And then they'd have like a miming session where they have members of the audience come up and mime goofy acts or whatever. But they didn't have that, obviously, in the age of COVID. So instead, they recited a scene from the sequel to Mallrats that the script Kevin wrote that they're going to film next year. So we heard they talked about a scene in what's it called, Twilight of the Mallrats, where they're making a sequel to Mallrats. I only seen Mallrats on cable in bits and pieces. I never saw the whole thing.
Oh, I've seen the whole thing.
I never saw Chasing Amy.
That's a good film.
Never saw Chasing Amy. No.
Chasing Amy's good. I like Chasing Amy.
Seen both Clerks. And the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot was last year. It was a Fathom event screening.
I still haven't seen that yet.
That was okay.
I keep forgetting I need to see that.
It was okay. And Jason actually had some acting in it. It wasn't just him just doing all the, stoochy boochies. But it was good. So I had a good time. I was glad I went. So So, Jeff, how was your Halloween week?
It was interesting. So to follow up, yes, it was indeed 3 days of plain oatmeal with nothing but oatmeal.
Poor guy.
Of plain oatmeal.
Oh,
In fairness, the samples on the last day were actually much better than any of the other days. And I swear I was just like, okay, these are actually decent samples. This must be the real shit. I'm like, literally, they're like, is it sweet? No. Is it salty? No. It tastes like shit. It's like, it's chewy and I don't know. I mean, I swear, I was just like, it was like, you're gonna have me taste other flavors, right? Nope. Oh, things we do for money. Then
I wish I got to eat for money.
I would love to eat for money.
That can be arranged. Then it was funny. So I went to go vote Thursday, and so my signature has changed quite a bit. And the reason my signature has changed quite a bit, and both of you guys will get a kick out of this, is because after a decade of signing transmitter logs, you can take a wild guess what my signature looks like. Okay. I have friends of mine who are like, that's a signature? I'm like, you don't understand. I used to have to sign transmitter logs all the time. It's like, I don't give a shit.
I remember I had to initial them. I don't remember signing them. I don't know.
I initialed the ones that we initialed.
Yeah, we falsified all of them anyway. It don't matter.
Well, yeah.
I might have been the only one who actually took transmitter logs. Well, I know Ivan did.
Are you kidding, man? The leaf logs were so far behind, and then to sit there and just come up with any old damn numbers and shit, and nobody cared. It was just like one of those type of. Well, yeah, you cared, but
nobody cared until that plane hit the tower, and it was like, I don't know what could have happened with the tower lights. I have no idea.
That, and of course, when I crashed my car into the back of the radio station, and I knocked down the monitor antenna.
That's good job there. But
hey,
yeah, so I go to sign in, and they're like, "Well, your signature is very, very different." And I said, and it was funny. So the guy says to me, he goes, "Well, your signature is very, very different than when you started voting."
From your voter registration log?
Yeah, from my voter registration. And the reason I'm telling the story is where we're going next, which is it's very, very different from when you started voting in 1975.
What?
And I'm like, I kind of looked at him. I'm like, I was 3 in 1975. He looks at me and goes, and he's like, yes, you are 3. He's like, but it says 1975, and I'm like, and it was funny without even waiting a beat or a breath. My next words out of my mouth is, "Well, we do live in Chicago." So he shows me the signature thing, and it does look like 75. And what happened is they must have cut off the rest of the part where I make it a 9. Okay, so it looks like 75 instead of 95. So I'm laughing my butt off because I'm like, I must have been a very advanced 3-year-old that I've been voting for that long. But okay, sure. So yeah, that was amusing. I like I said, otherwise I wasn't going to talk about it. The other thing that was amusing was like, oh, we have a place for selfies. I'm like, that's just stupid. Who's going to take selfies? So as I'm done, like, oh, take another selfie.
5 seconds later.
Yeah, exactly. Like, after I got done voting, I'm like, oh, I should take another selfie. What the hell? Why not? Take another one. Hey,
Election selfie.
Election selfie.
I'm totally getting a selfie. Which Instagram filter should I use? Oh my
gosh, I voted selfie.
Okay.
But they had a whole thing like sitting behind you where you could say I voted, and so it was really funny. I was just like, screw it, I'll do it. What the hell? The next thing I know, I'm like doing all kinds of stupid things. I'm like, I am so sold out.
Well,
I am sold out.
Well, I just went ahead and I did the mail-in ballot, and they gave me the sticker in the ballot. I was just like, oh, okay, I don't have to travel out with this. I had so many filthy ideas as to where I was going to put that sticker, but then I said, man,
I put them on my COVID masks.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. People come in the store with the I voted sticker on their masks. I see that.
Well, my mom had hers too, and she decided not to do it, so I put one on both sides. So now I have my I voted COVID mask.
I was gonna, like I said, I had like half a dozen really terrible, filthy ideas for that sticker, but I was just like, nah, it's okay.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna put it on my taint.
Yeah,
but I voted though. September 28th, I voted and was counted October 5th. I was like, yeah.
Good deal. Well, like I said, I didn't even want to talk about politics because we can deal with that later.
Yeah, we're just happy by the time this airs, we'll be done. And
yeah, we'll talk about that. Well, if there's anything,
we'll talk about it next week when
right.
when everything.
But the reason I brought up that story is because it's like, so apparently I've been voting since I was 3. Who knew? Well, I certainly didn't.
Oh my gosh! You mean to tell me that you were 3 and 75? I was 14 going on 15 and 75. Holy
I voted for Carter. Yay!
Yeah.
Oh my god! I'm getting fucking old over here.
Yeah.
No, I just was laughing because I'm like, someone was like, well, they do say that people vote dead. I'm like, we're not talking about dead. We're talking about 3.
3 years old.
I mean, could you imagine?
Gaga.
It'd be like
1,
that
2, 3.
scene. It'd be like worse than that scene in Clerks where the 10-year-old comes in and buys the pack of cigarettes. It'd be like I'd be walking up going, "Excuse me, sir, can I have my ballot?" And like walking in, walk right.
Little Jeff saying, "Oh boy, I get to vote."
But
like
did you know
person, like mommy and daddy.
That used to be a thing when I was growing up.
My favorite is I think back in the day when we were kids, they had the little punch thing where you punched everything. So I could see me.
Oh yeah, the punch cards.
3 or 4 going, yay! Punch this, punch this, punch this, punch.
I vote for everybody.
Yeah, I voted for everything.
I remember.
Son, you just voted for the Communist Party, but I punched everything.
I punched everything though.
It's like bubble wrap. You just got to pop them all.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
So, I guess we can get into news.
Well, no, so anyway.
Anything else? What else you got, Jeff?
What else I got?
What else you got?
What else you got?
What else I got? So I found out I do get HBO Max as part of my wireless. So I'm now getting that. So I watched.
So do you put it on your TV or is it on your mobile device or?
I can watch it on my TV as
good.
well as my mobile and all that stuff. So now I'm getting that for free. So at some point I'm going to take a look and see if there's stuff that I've been missing that I haven't picked up or whatnot, or what I need to. And apparently that gets me access to their originals and HBO stuff too. But I watched the West Wing revival thing that they did on HBO Max, the one that they did for Get Out the Vote, where they
was that a special or like a mini
yeah.
series? Okay.
No, they brought them all back. Well, obviously everybody but John Spencer because he's dead. Well, that would have been really something. They brought back everybody to do one of the episodes called Hartsfield Landing. And they pretty much brought back all of the original cast to do the episode. The only person, obviously, they couldn't bring back is John Spencer, and they had Sterling K. Brown do it. So, and play Leo instead,
So he was
he
second Darren.
Well, not even really. I mean, this is just really basically a redo of this episode, and they kind of did this, and they brought them all back. It's just like it's like an hour episode. It's not even an hour when they, with no commercials and, I mean, there were a couple people that were in there about making sure you vote and all that stuff. By that point, I'd already voted. But, the only thing I'll say to it was it's nice to see them all back. It's nice to see some of this stuff. And really, it just reminds me that I think we all need to demand that Aaron Sorkin not be writing only movies from now on, and he needs to write episodic TV. I think it needs to be like put in a law. Cause seriously, it's like, we need something like that. And I know he just did, the Chicago 7 that's on Netflix, and I'll get around to that at some point. But, and now he's kind of on to movies, but I kind of miss, I'd like to see some new content from him that isn't a movie. I'd like to see some new content from him that's like a series, like he did with Sports Night and West Wing and Newsroom for HBO. Those are some really great television. And it's unfortunate that we're not, that right now we're just waiting until he puts out when it's time he's going to put out another movie. And it's like, I get it. There's more money in movies. But at the same time, there's a part of me where I'm like, man, it'd be nice to, or I guess the real question is, where's the next Aaron Sorkin? Because seriously, I mean, there's some great stuff out there, but I don't see anybody who does what Aaron Sorkin does that's out there at the moment. And I don't know if you guys watch Sorkin a lot or not, but right there, exactly. So, for those who are listening who haven't, Sports Night is a high recommend, by the way. As what to watch. It's like only two seasons, and it's some of the people that are on there from when he did that show, you'd be like surprised to see like some of the people that were in there, like Peter Krause is in there, the guy who played Benson is in there, Felicity
Benson from the old TV series.
Yep.
Wow.
Robert Guillaume Robert Guillaume plays like the station manager or something like that, or owner or something like that. Felicity Huffman, Josh Molina. You look at some of the people who are in the casting at this point. The only thing that was creepy about watching it later on is because at the time when they filmed it, it was still before 9/11 happened. So there are a lot of, when they go into scenes from commercial where it's like showing a picture of like the tower.
Yeah, the Twin Towers, yeah.
The Twin Towers. And so it is kind of freaky, a little bit that
Remember when right after 9/11, when they pulled The Critic, which is that John Lovitz animated series, because right at the end of the opening credits was the New York skyline. So they took it off.
Well, and there was I can't remember which Spider-Man it was where they had to pull something.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man 1. Just after the first X-Men movie came out, they made a teaser trailer for Spider-Man 1. And it was bad guys get caught, their escape helicopter gets caught in a web between the Twin Towers. I remember that distinctly.
Right. Yeah.
There was also a Nickelodeon animated cartoon that never made it past production because it had a scene where the craft that these people were in was going in between the Twin Towers, and it was before the Last Airbender series came out. It was around that same time when America started getting involved in doing anime here. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a great series had it seen the light of day, but because that scene was in it.
What was the name of this series?
I can't think of the name off the bat, but it's out there though. It's out there though. I remember reading about it, and I remember seeing an actual rush of it. And I actually saw the scene that they finally said, "No, I don't think this is a good idea now," and then they just never greenlit it, and it just got lost. It just dropped out of sight. It was just like many animated projects that never come to fruition, and different companies.
Fruition, Ivan.
Fruition.
Yeah.
Fruition. Okay. Fruition. It comes down to that whole thing where, they got the idea. There was supposed to be a follow-up cartoon to the Yellow Submarine that was like 2/3 of the way finished, and then I guess through some kind of snafu on production or snafu through finances, never saw the light of day. Somebody remembered the project. They went back to see if they could rescue the project, and the only thing left of it was just a bunch of drawings, a bunch of stills. That was it.
Right. There's always been stuff like that you hear stories about, like, and it's interesting because you hear stories about that where there's stories we hear, but there's stuff where if you are, if you're in the Hollywood world, that you've heard about pilots that got made that never saw the light of day, with people that you'd be like shocked that exists. There are others where people are very much aware, like, David Lynch was supposed to do a Wonder Woman series for NBC, and a pilot did get shot, but it never got greenlit.
That's right. It was the chick she's on the Orville with Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, right.
She was Wonder Woman. I remember.
Right. And yeah, it was, that was, but that's out there that you can be found. Just like, there was an Aquaman, pilot based off of Smallville. From the Smallville that they had spun off, that they were doing they were going to do an Aquaman series, and there's a pilot out there, but it never went past pilot. But that people were watching for a while. So, that stuff, I seem to remember there was a Plastic Man cartoon that I found in the 2000s.
I remember the one in the 80s, the Plastic Man cartoon from the 80s.
Right. No, this was different. I found this on YouTube one night. It was like a Plastic Man cartoon. It was like, apparently they were going to revive him in the 2000s, and I found like this pilot, and it was great. I don't know what happened or why, but yeah. There
was a show on CBS. It was like a 2-hour show. It was called The Pilot. It was called The Show That Never Was, or The Pilot That Never Was. And it featured a whole bunch of television pilots that never saw the light of day. And one that interested me was they had Bela Lugosi and Vincent Price as police detectives together in a series back in like the early 1960s that never saw the light of day. They did the Jerry Van Dyke pilot for My Mother the Car, that was an abysmal failure.
Sounds awesome.
Let's see. There was let me see what else was there. Characters that you would have never otherwise seen them, other than the thing that they were known for. They were trying to cast in television, back in the day, and they had like 20 different pilots. They ranged from to the heinous to the laugh out loud terrible. It's just like, and then it's just like, wow. And there were several ones. In fact, when Christopher Reeve, the original Superman.
Oh, actually, the first Superman was not Christopher Reeve. It was early ones from the black and white television show.
George Reeves, sorry. Okay, but I know that after George Reeves, which, of course, that's a movie in of itself called, Hollywood.
Yeah, that was Ben Affleck played George Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, so, but they were going to continue the series with another actor, but again, that pilot was shot, and then it didn't see the light of day either. And there was a spin-off of the Lucy show, which Lucy.
I remember it was in color. Yeah.
Yeah, there was Here's Lucy it was called.
Yeah.
And it ran for a single season.
Yeah. I remember Automan. It was like after Tron came out, it was like
I remember that show.
I remember Automan.
Desi Arnaz Jr. was the lead. And then Automan was his like a computer generated sidekick.
Was he really though? Oh God!
And it only made it like 6 episodes. I'm like, oh man, they didn't make any more. I was so excited. I love the show, and then like they canceled it. Like,
Well, it was just like what happened to Paul Rodriguez. Remember, there was AKA Pablo with Paul Rodriguez. It was supposed to be like, I think it suffered from it being too far ahead of its time, before Fluffy and before all the rest of these guys, Hispanic comics were doing. I guess it was in light of what happened to Freddie Prinze, and then of course here's AKA Pablo. And it didn't fly. I think it went like 3 episodes, and then they dropped it.
Another show I loved was Chico and the Man. It's like, growing up, I think they might have tried to either continue it or they made a sequel or a spinoff or something, and that never took off.
Yeah, what happened was after Freddie Prinze, committed suicide, they tried to feature more of the old man, and I guess they had another person kind of come into the old man's life to try to focus
fill that
on
void or replace that dynamic.
Right.
So it became the other Chico and the Man.
It just became that type of a thing.
Was that a fart? Ivan, did you fart?
What?
Did you fart?
Did I do what?
Never mind. Continue.
Thank you.
Whoever smelt it, dealt it. I don't know. I'll tell you what's interesting, though. When they revived Roseanne and then it became the Connors.
Yeah, after Roseanne got kicked off, yeah.
But here's the thing. It's interesting because the Connors has actually been a solid show. So it's kind of interesting to see how that worked out that way. But to get back to my week, because we do get to Mike, which is, so I saw the West Wing thing and it was all right. Like I said, if anything, it just made me long for that. I finished The Boys. What'd you think? Man, it's good. It's good for all the reasons you will hate it. Or if you want straight super stuff, this is not where you're going. And this is not your kid's superhero show.
Yeah, this is like Hancock, times 3,
no,
right?
No, this is Deadpool and past Deadpool. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's where I would put this at. Is there stuff in there that you won't even see it, that, would be in a Deadpool movie or worse. But there's some interesting themes and some interesting directions with what they do. And they talk about certain things that I at least sit there and it's kind of fun. It's different. It's unique. I will say this, the guy, it'd be easy to sit there and talk about, the main characters who we think are heroic, so to speak, about which ones you like and which ones you don't. But I'll be honest, I have an affinity for the guy I have an affinity for Homelander, which is kind of like their Superman kind of guy.
Yeah. He's like the anti-Superman, pretty much.
Oh, this guy, oh my God.
Yeah.
He is so mentally screwed up. No, I mean really mentally screwed up. I mean, imagine if they basically raised Superman and they raised him in like a sterile environment kind of thing. Well, no, they basically raised him in a sterile environment, a science lab rather than a nurturing environment. So as a result, you have
he has no regard for social norms and human decency, pretty much, right?
Well, and there's things where he just doesn't have a regard for certain aspects. Right. I mean, he wants to be loved, but at the same time, there are certain things where it's like, dude, what are you doing?
He's not capable of that love.
Well, he wants more. He needs that to sustain himself, but at the same time, there's things where he does things where literally, like, I know neither one of you are going to watch this, but I mean, there's literally, I think I talked about this where literally it's like, okay, you screwed up and you basically made it so the plane can't land. So the reaction is, well, I can't fucking fix it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So he's got no conscience to this whole thing.
Well, and then sat there and said, well, if we had heroes, then this wouldn't have been a problem.
Right. Well, we did
the
have
last
a
scene.
hero.
I mean, the last scene of the entire show speaks volumes and everything, and I don't want to give too much
Season
away,
2
but
finale.
yeah, well, I shouldn't say the last scene. The second to last scene speaks volumes. There is a good cliffhanger. I thought it was interesting. I'm looking forward to season 3. It's well put together. It's well produced. It definitely makes you think. I think it's interesting because as much as people sit there and say I guess there's another character that's more Captain America-y in the comic that they're bringing in. But to me, I think it's interesting because I kind of think Homelander in some ways is Captain America-y. And I felt like some of the storyline of where they've gone with this is has some, super serum and that kind of thing. And, I almost, kind of along the lines of, what if the Germans had the super serum and, about, what happens if rather than it falls into America, it fell into the hands of, corporate America, if you know what I mean.
So did you like season 2 better than the 1?
Well, I kind of watched them both together, so,
Okay.
For the most part,
That's one entity, though.
That's one entity. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's really good. It's definitely worth watching, but if you're expecting MCU or Arrow or the Arrowverse or that kind of stuff, you're not going to find that here.
All in there.
You're not going to find that there. You might see a boob here or there, and characters definitely have sex in this. And there's quite a few things that where it's like you get the idea. But yeah I mean, it's
kind of like the
unfortunate consequences of superpowers from people with less moral ambiguity.
The best way to put it. Well, the best way to put it is imagine if people today in today's world had superpowers.
Yeah.
Yikes! That's all I'm going to say about it is yikes. The only other thing I can say is, so I watched because CBS has got. Regular CBS has got Discovery Season 1.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched... I've got Episode 2 of Season 3 of Discovery. I haven't watched it yet. It's here, so...
So, I watched Episode 5 of Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit... And I was kind of impressed. It was a little better than I thought it was. So, I'm taping them. I'll kind of see where season 1 goes. Maybe at some point I'll pop in and go watch season 2 and see it because I gotta be honest. I kind of I felt like the animal that takes you across the galaxy for your spore drive thing.
Yeah, the
after
tardigrade.
Episode
yeah.
4, the tardigrade after episode 4. I was literally like, okay, you've jumped the shark for me. I'm kind of done here. This feels like, oh good, here's our Wesley or our Data. The irony is they got rid of it in the next episode, which if I had realized that, I might have kept going. But literally, I was like, no, I think I'm done here. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I did watch, this is the season premiere for This Is Us. Well done. I know there's some people who are not thrilled that there was a lot of COVID in it, and there was a lot about
how they
the George...
write into the show. That's what I heard about the show.
Right, and then the other thing is... Right, and then the other thing that people were not thrilled about was, some of the George Floyd stuff was in there. And I didn't have a problem with it. I can see why certain people are like, we just want our show, but it's like, look, if you're going to have a show about everyday people and their lives and their stories, I don't know how you... Yeah.
How are you going to write around that? I mean,
and I think it's a good idea because no other show seems to be doing this. They're rather taking place during 2020. I think we need this kind of timestamp where we can go back 30 years and say, look what they're doing in 2020.
But and also, it's a matter of escapism for much of entertainment, because isn't that what television was created for, to be entertaining, a form of escapism, just like motion pictures are a form of escapism.
That's what people are complaining about.
It's
I
not
think that's what people are complaining about.
Dealing with the same shit we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
And be reminded of that shit, in your television show. It's kind of like, great. I see this shit in the newspaper, and I see this shit online, and I see this shit everywhere I go. Why do I have to go turn on a television show and see what? The same shit.
And I gotta be honest with you, I think we're gonna see, like, for example, I've seen, like, while we're recording this, the first new episode of the Good Doctor is landing this week, and they're talking.
I think that's tonight.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. And I was trying to say this because we don't have a show until Wednesday. But okay. The part where it's landing this week, and they're dealing with it too. And I think I saw stuff where whatever's coming up with Grey's Anatomy, I have a feeling that a lot of shows have decided that they're going to bring this into part of their world. And I think it's going to be interesting because I think there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to be happy with that. But I think that,
I feel it's necessary because Mike does have a point that certain things within this year should be addressed in entertainment in a way, but it has to be done in a way where you're going to get it where it's going to drive the point home and not turn the set off.
Yeah.
See, there's
almost like in the same way, like shows in the 70s, we'd be like, and the kid was like, what is he doing? He's like, he's dialing a rotary telephone. And like, what? And it's the same way 30 years from now. It's like, why is everyone wearing a mask? Well, it's because COVID-19 was happening in 2020. Like, what's COVID-19?
Yeah,
exactly. You want it as kind of a subtle reminder through the entertainment world that, this actually happened. This was a real thing. This was something we all lived in.
It's interesting you say subtle. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not this is going to be something that's subtle, or are we in a period of time that is very much like this, and I don't want to say it's exactly like the 60s, but there are some mirroring circumstances of where we're at right now, where there's a lot of stuff going on that, it does seem kind of like a 60s kind of world right now, where things are with everything that's going on.
You're right. You're right about that, Jeff, because, all right, growing up in the 60s and watching
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Neither would I, but that's why
that's why we have Ivan.
Let me put a perspective on this. And you're right, Jeff. And you're right. To put this in perspective, because a lot of what's happening now hasn't changed since the 60s. And the fact that things from the 60s are still relatable almost 50 plus years later just kind of gets you to think about these things a little bit. Because I watched the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on television. Mm-hmm. I watched the Vietnam War when guys are sitting out there in the fields trying to report the Vietnam War with bullets flying over their heads.
Yep.
Okay. Back when people reported the news, there was no bias in the news. They just gave you the news, and then it was up to you to make up your own mind as what you thought the news was. And the fact that they were these bold images and this bold film, which, when they went out into the fields, it was filmed. There was no videotape out in the fields, but all this footage, from helicopters going into Da Nang Nang and to the Vietnam, and, watching, the Viet Cong, running in the street and some guy.
Right, but we're talking about, I'm talking about, protest marches all over America exactly. And whatnot.
Protest war and whatnot.
Let's put this in perspective. I'm not somebody who watches those Chicago shows on NBC that Dick Wolf does, but you do an entire set of shows, this Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and how are you planning on doing a show where you better be tackling some of the things that went on in this city in the last 7 months,
right.
where where, there were major riots here in town, and there were, we're talking
death.
about, you're talking about bridges up and all that kind of stuff.
Stores getting looted, broken into, cars getting turned over, things being set on fire.
Right. I mean, I remember we were watching. We were all sitting there watching that one. Like there out south. There was the one shopping mall where literally there were 100 cars in there, and they're pretty much looting the place like crazy. I mean, guys strapping a mattress to the top of the car. It literally like. Whatever.
And the thing about it is okay, when you look at that, and a lot of people say, well, you know what, that's only one person's angle of what they thought they saw, or that's one person's scene on what they thought they saw once they get into the news and blah, 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 blah. But
I'm not talking about the news. We're talking about,
I'm talking about real life, but I'm saying about people when they film these things. And you'll get the people out there. They say, "Oh yeah, well that's just only one person's phone video of what happened. Okay, this is what happened over here, or that's what happened over there." But yeah. But like it says, and as far as the Dick Wolf triad of movies, of series and everything, I'll be honest with you, I've really not put much time into any of those three.
Nope.
Because no, I really don't put much time into any of those three, because being from Chicago, and then here you got Dick Wolf's writing assignment on what he feels Chicago is, and I hate to say it, but I kind of disagree with a lot of it.
Well, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. I just really haven't watched it because it just says it. There's other stuff I've been watching, but the only reason I even bring it up is, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like. But the point being, yeah, I thought This Is Us was, again, my biggest headache that I have with This Is Us at this point is it's good storytelling, it's really well acted, and I get a lot of the things that they do, but man, oh man, does it seem like sometimes it's like the same mechanics over and over again. And I get that they work and this is what the story is.
Pulling at the heartstrings?
Well, not only that, but like, for example, it's like, okay, so we're going to tell this story from 3 points of view because there's the 3 kids. So now we're going to show this from the 3 ways, and then we're going to move forward. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes it's like,
how many times are you going to go back to that first point and then?
Well, it's not so much
just
that
the gimmicky style of the storytelling,
right? Or like, for example, like there's an iron, and why are we looking at this iron that somebody has that somebody else? And it plays back to some important moment from back in the day, and or something like that. And I just feel like there's too many of those things
like
that
those,
they do.
Too much. You think it's just too much detail orient. Just let's get to the story. Let's get to the point. The minor
I think
details don't need to be played in. Aren't relevant to what the overall story entails.
Well, again, it's well done and it's intricately done. So the thing is that I can't complain on that aspect. I just feel like
intricately, the intricacy of it tend to be a little monotonous.
Right, exactly. It just feels like sometimes there are instances, for my take, where it just takes a little longer than I think it should to continue to move forward. And in some ways,
the pacing is not as fast as maybe it could be or should be.
Right, and I think that it's not a fast-paced show to begin with anyway. But it could be.
It just slows it down even more.
Right. Yeah, and I think part of it is again, this was a 2-hour episode, so that might be part of it. But anyway, so Mike, I know you said Mandalorian. You said what? Or where are we at? I'm sorry. I think we're at news, aren't we? Is that where we're at?
Also, yeah, I was going to have a game night, but an unexpected injury we had to cancel.
A game night injury? What?
No, it
Somebody
wasn't.
step on
It
a
didn't
bunch
happen.
of D4s?
Nobody stepped on a D4. No. One of my game nights, his wife slipped and fell at home, so
Okay.
he had to leave unexpectedly. She's okay, but it was a little scary there when we got the phone call and we're like, okay, yeah, we'll pack up, you go. So, but oh well. So yeah, no game night this week. So.
Before we get, I don't know, whatever.
I think Ivan was pulling back. Okay.
The cats are moping at me.
The cats are what?
The cats are moping at me. They're hungry.
Okay.
The cats are hungry. So yeah, before we get into the Sean Connery stuff, I guess HBO Max is going to do a revival of Tiny Toons. They're calling it Tiny Toons. They're calling it Tiny Toons Luniversity. And I guess it'll be not only HBO Max, it'll be on Cartoon Network as well. And
Cats approved.
Apparently so.
I like the fact that Steven Spielberg kind of put his foot down and said, "You guys going to do this, but I want it to look like the old show."
Well, yeah, I would assume so, but that's, I mean, look, the Animaniac stuff looks like the old show too. So
yeah, exactly. But that was because Spielberg kind of put that in his wherewithal to say, "Yeah, you guys are going to do this shit. It's fine. I don't want to redesign. I don't want anything improved upon it. If you're going to do the product, I want the product as stated, the way I created it."
Well, I just think it's kind of funny because, if I had been, this goes back to
the only drawback I had with that. I'm sorry. The only drawback I had with this though, with the Animaniacs and the fact that they did not return too many of the background characters. So there's just a whole new set of characters. They didn't bring back Slappy Squirrel. They didn't bring back Elvira. They didn't bring Minerva. They didn't bring back the three pigeons. They didn't bring back a lot of them, So
right. Well, but here's the thing. I mean, I think we'll see where this goes because it's 13 episodes. We'll see where this goes and how that works, and we'll see if that makes it. If any of them make cameos, if any of them,
there might be short
or if they add it
right,
or they might add in, they might, who knows? Maybe that's what season 2 looks like. We'll see. To me, the interesting thing is to me, it's funny because it's like, if this just shows you that Warner, everything that's been going on with Warner's is just weird because they did DC Universe. And then, not far after DC Universe, they announced that they were going to do this. And how was it in the beginning at DC Universe, not DC Universe, of this HBO Max, that at no point did they not think, okay, we need to be a destination spot for kids to watch cartoon content? Because really, in reality, that's what's going to bring kids. And with some of the things that they have options for to HBO Max, you'd think that they'd be developing all kinds of cartoon content, from anything from, the Flintstones to Scooby-Doo to
all the Hanna-Barbera catalog, the Boomerang shit.
Dexter's Laboratory, Foster's Imaginary Friends, you name it. I mean, they've got such a huge catalog, and I think some of the reaction is, well, why do we need to build new stuff? But the truth is, you do need to have some new stuff, so it will be helpful to have new Tiny Toons. And really, in reality, obviously the Animaniacs deal was done way beforehand with Hulu. But I know there were new Looney Tunes that were made, and really, I would just think that they need to be kind of churning some of these different shows out on a more regular basis, because this is what, between that and the fact that, you do have access to Sesame Street, and that's on your streamer. I mean, to me, those are, I don't know. I mean, there's two ways to look at it, which is either you're going to do stuff for adults or you're going to bring the kids in. And Disney went the other direction. Disney went more towards, okay, what can we do to get the kids, so the parents will just buy it anyway. I don't know what HBO Max's plan is.
I mean, I think that's how Disney always has been, working that whole angle where they make it where it's accessible, where the kids and even when the adults are getting involved in it, the kids will be like, oh, well, that's great. But, it kind of hints to that whole thing with the adults. But then you also have to think about this too. Okay, the Hanna-Barbera catalog that, got acquired and everything. And it's just, okay, how many times are we going to keep revamping Scooby-Doo? How many times are we going to keep revamping, certain characters, to meet up with the modern pop culture audience? I mean, there have been times where they've done that, successfly. And then, they've done that unsuccessfully because there's just about as many pilot episodes that saw the light of day. Here we go with pilot episodes again. That haven't seen the light of day against how many that actually did air, and then some that only aired for a number of episodes and then disappeared.
It never came to fruition.
Nope.
Never came to fruition. So there's the point of it. Also, it's the money aspect, the return, for the effort, because, to make 2D animation, is more costly now than it was in its heyday. I mean, it was a very costly enterprise, but now to do it today in today's money numbers, that's a lot of money to pour in to not get that money to come back, unless of course you bring in major toy endorsements like with companies. That's why all those 80s and 90s cartoons made the money they did, because they had the toy endorsements and they had the toy money behind those cartoons. I mean, they were 30-minute endorsements for toys is what they were.
Yeah.
But when you talk about
deregulation in the 80s,
yeah, so you figure, you're hitting a new audience in this day and age where, okay, I mean, we're going to try to make cartoons for this generation of kids. Are they actually going to appreciate it as much as kids did back in generations previous?
Well, you hope they do.
Why not?
Why not? I hope they do.
Well, you would hope they would. But at the same time, with everything that happens on the internet, everything that happens in the gaming world, everything that happens on, whatever PlayStation thing that they're doing now today.
The PlayStation things.
Well, okay. I'm the old guy, sorry.
That's right.
And so it comes right down to, and then the reoccurrence of other things, physical games, like pinball, like video
So
machines.
you're saying don't make any more new cartoons with characters that you've had in your catalog for what, decades?
No, I'm not saying don't make them. I'm saying, yes, make them, but make sure that they are as trendy and as pop culture filled. Like the Animaniacs were very pop culture, pop culture conscious when they made that back in their day. Same with, the Looney Tunes, the Tiny Toon Adventures was very trendy.
Yeah, but there are some Hanna-Barbera shows that have never really needed to be trendy.
But they did try to be trendy. In fact, there's a YouTube, there are some YouTube videos out there where they actually, came out with, Yo Yogi, which they were trying to cash in on the whole hip hop sensibility that was going on at the time, and that was an abysmal thing. Wow. And, then there was,
Yogi!
Exactly. Oh yeah, go ahead, go out there in the web and find it.
I'd rather not.
You can look at it and you'll be like, damn, somebody was doing something. But anyway, but again, like I said, so I'm hoping that the integrity that made those cartoons great, I hope that when they make them again, they keep in mind, they've got an audience that's got the attention span of an ant.
Well, speaking of remakes and creating new content, apparently a new Saved by the Bell is coming to Peacock next month. Or this month.
Yeah.
That's
as
nuts.
adults.
Yes.
As adults. I saw the pictures.
No. It's not just adults. It's the adults are in it, but they have cast a whole bunch of kids for that generation as new students. Absolutely. Because
they're like their kids.
Yeah, the kids from the old show are grown up,
kids.
and then they've got kids and they're going to school now.
Ah, like we haven't done this before.
I'm willing to give it a shot. There have been a couple of. I've seen a couple of trailers. Well, okay.
Too bad Screech won't be on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a
little busy right now. Yeah, he's a little busy.
He's really burned.
But you have the Peacock for free,
right? So I'll watch it.
So check it out.
It's not coming out until a few
end
weeks.
of the month.
But I saw, the early trailers on some of the jokes and stuff were good. I mean, I thought they were amusing. The more recent trailer that they did was a little bit more less focused towards the adults and a lot more focused towards trying to target teenagers and the younger generation, which I thought was interesting.
The generation with the money in their pockets.
Well, look, here's the thing. Mom and Dad are going to weren't willing to watch this show. I think that's what this show...
Right. It's like the new, when they brought back Full House, but, everyone's grown up.
Fuller House, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, except it's not going to be that...
Different
Saved by
dynamic.
the Bell is always... Yeah, Saved by the Bell was always far more fun than Full House in my take, but it'll be amusing because they've got it sounds like they've got just about everybody except for Belding and Dustin Diamond, the guy who plays Screech. And the reason they don't have him is just because of that guy has gone way off the beaten path and done some crazy ass stuff in since that show ended, including, by the way, I believe he did porn.
Yeah, I think we might have talked about him on one of our News of the Squared articles.
Yeah,
over the last couple of years.
And the funny thing about it was that I just watched another television show that had a Screech-like character, who got, bumped off, because he had gone down to Skid Row and he was down on his luck and all this other stuff. And then he was selling drugs and then he ended up getting killed because, he owed money.
Oh, you mean like the guy from Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I swear, every one of those VH1 celebrity shows that they used to do back in the day, he was on all of them. I mean, I feel like he was on practically all of them. And then, like I said, at one point he was, I don't know if he still is or not, but at one point he was living in Milwaukee. And then he was doing stand-up, and like I said, I know he did porn. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think what happened was, I guess he wasn't privy to what he signed on the dotted line, and he got ripped off on a lot of royalties and residuals. And just,
I don't know. I don't know what the story is with that. Look, let's be honest. I mean, it's taken Jaleel White a long time to get over being Urkel. It's taken a long time for a lot of these guys when they have.
Because you see them in other movies, and the first thing that comes to people's mind once they get typecast, and there's the word. Once they get typecast into a particular role, going back to George Reeves, he got typecast as Superman. He couldn't get another job after that. And a lot of television people, television actors suffered from that.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if any of those guys from The Big Bang Theory, any of the guys, because what's her name?
Remember the? No, go ahead.
What's her name? Malali, whatever it is, the one who played Blossom.
You're talking about Miley?
Yeah, we're gonna screw up her name. Anyway, she's already got something on Fox, and and Kaylee Kiyoko is already doing the Harley Quinn stuff. And look, what's his name? Ryan
Bailey.
And the one guy was on Roseanne, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen him back on Roseanne yet.
The guy who played Leonard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy was on Roseanne, and back in the day as Darlene's husband, and then I seem to remember seeing him on a couple episodes last season as the ex, but, who knows? Maybe we will or maybe we won't see him.
Yeah, but look, when like the one that played Blossom, I mean, look how many years it took for her to get from that to the Big Bang Theory. We're talking several decades.
Now, hold on a second. There's a little bit of difference there. I mean, my understanding is she went on to go to I can't remember where she ended up, which college she ended up, but she was doing big time math stuff. She was
oh, she was a brain. She was always a brain.
No, but the point being is she had legit science job, and this was just kind of that was the reason why that happened, was because, we'll bring her in because that makes sense because she fits the show. And they found a way to bring her in that way. It had nothing to do with it had been a long time or anything like that. It just happened to be, this would fit. We can bring this person in and do this. So yeah, I don't know, but.
Well, yeah, but like I said, you have your cases in point where, and it's the curse, the child actor curse, which, goes way beyond television. It happened in the movies where, were great in their children roles, but then once they grew out of their roles, had a hard time, finding roles as adults, which you're talking.
It's a very common tale.
You're talking about maybe one out of maybe every 50 child actors actually ended up transcending from the child actor into the adult actor. I mean, the odds are very small. I could sit here and do a whole show on just that whole situation, because it happened to so many of them. I mean, from the Little Rascals to Dennis the Menace to, I mean, I could go on and on.
Well, Opie turned out okay.
Pardon me?
Opie turned out okay.
Drew Barrymore just doing fine.
Yeah, well, he was one of the 50. But he was a working actor for long before he got involved in the whole directing thing. Besides, Mayberry, he was in the Music Man. He was in, and many other projects. He did voiceovers, he managed to do a lot of things, whereas a lot of child actors never got half of those type of opportunities. That he's one of the, like I said, he's one of the very few that actually got to do that kind of thing. I mean, just like,
I said. No, I was just gonna say, I'm in on the Saved by the Bell reboot. I'm curious to see what it's gonna look like. I'm curious to see how often we're gonna see certain characters. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of Mark Paul Gosselaar and what's her name? The one who plays Kelly Kapowski. I do think it's going to be a lot of Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley, though. I think we'll see them.
Mario Lopez, wasn't he one of the major contributors to the earlier show?
Right, but both of them are supposedly going to be teachers at the school. Whereas I guess Zach and Kelly are not going to be regularly on the show. Of course, they're making Zach Morris the governor of California, which is hysterical. Because they used to make those jokes all the time in the show that he was going to end up someplace like that. But sure, why not? But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think we'll see those. I don't think we'll see Zach and Kelly as much as we'll see. How can I say? The AC Slaters and the Jessica Spanos at this point. Although it's amusing now that nice to see Elizabeth Berkley's getting some work again after Showgirls. By the way,
Well, it took a while.
Well, I mean, she's done some parts here and there along the way, but
Yeah,
boy,
but after Showgirls,
really,
it seemed like she.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Seemed like after Showgirls, she was kind of blacklisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what happened with Lisa Whitcho after she did Nerds, and now she's doing a TV show on a little show on BTV. About the Facts of Life. She was she was the rich blonde girl, the one that
right
lunch. Yeah.
Let's see, what other news do we have?
So Fox has already canceled Filthy Rich and Next.
Do you watch either of those?
I was watching both. I am watching both. I thought I was a little surprised by them dropping the act so fast. I mean, Next has only had 2 episodes. I think they're going to finish out the seasons on both of them because, honestly, they need the time. If you understand what I mean.
Well, hopefully they get proper endings.
I don't know if they will or they won't. Brave New World for Peacock. Speaking of Peacock, also got the axe. So there will not be a season 2 of Brave New World, which was done by Grant Morrison, which is too bad.
Yeah, you were enjoying that.
Yeah, that show.
Jeff shows.
Well, no, it's not all Jeff shows. It's just stuff that's out there. I'll be honest, I still haven't had a chance to see Swamp Thing. And, of course, as usual, God, I feel like every week there's another freaking Snyder Cut story.
Just want to keep feeding that beast.
It's like Ray Fisher's out there again.
Like Ray Fisher's back out there again, talking smack.
Right, Ray Fisher. The other one I was going to say for the show because that's for the News of the Square because I think that's hysterical.
Okay. Tune in later in the week.
It's more funny than that. But yeah, Ray Fisher back out there again.
Yep.
With all this stuff, and it's like, I mean, my one question I have is seriously, you're, and I'll ask you guys. You guys are a director or a producer, or you guys are a major studio. Would you hire him?
No.
Well, not after. Well, I don't know.
No.
It's like, is anyone going to hire just? Not he hasn't been tainted like say, Jussie Smollett, but
right.
You don't want this baggage, you know.
No, why would I want to get involved with emotional baggage and fucking what's the word I'm looking for?
It's not even emotional baggage.
It's just prima donna bullshit.
It's not even prima donna stuff. It's literally, okay, he's basically become a one-man crusade against...
Yeah, this activist,
against pretty much any, against Warner Brothers in some ways, and
kind of like what Prince did when he got into his confrontation with Warner Brothers when he wanted to start Paisley Park. Yeah, got it.
Well, no, not like that. But I mean, the difference is that not like that because the difference is Prince was Prince. This guy hasn't really done anything. I mean, the only thing I can think of is okay. At least Zack Snyder seems to be backing him. And that's the other thing that's crazy about this is while all this is going on, he's in reshoots for a thing that they're releasing on on HBO Max for this Snyder Cut at the same time that he seems to be having these issues with Warner Brothers and won't be involved in their quote unquote independent investigation. So I'm kind of like sitting here and I'm like, I don't know how that works. That's just strange.
Or put it this way, he's going to Snyder cut his ass out to the front door if he keeps on just holding up on this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because the irony is...
A company's only going to take so much.
Well, I don't know about it, because I got to be honest, with the way things are going right now, I mean, they seem to be putting a lot of, and Mike could attest to this. They're putting a lot of time, effort, and money into basically creating Justice League 2.0. And
seems like a lot of new content.
It's a lot of new content, but it then gets you to question. Once they put in all this new content, is it a matter of can this film be saved?
It's not film anymore. It's going to be almost like a miniseries.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So now it's evolved into something else, which
it's become the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. It became which of course it could be worse things. It could be Shanghai Surprise with Sean Penn and Madonna. So that's.
Well, I mean, here's the irony to the whole thing.
They knew better to remake that.
Right.
What?
But I mean, here's the irony. The irony to the whole thing is this, and this is where I kind of wanted to go with this. When you were talking about Ray Fisher, is the irony is I don't even know. At the end of the day, this is all about how many people are who don't have HBO Max are suddenly gonna subscribe to HBO Max to watch this thing. And if those numbers are big and they spike and they get large numbers because they're doing this thing and people are watching it, I don't even know that it needs to be any good.
Yeah, but then so let me get this straight. They're going to go ahead and create this little bitty thing into this really huge thing.
It wasn't a little bitty thing. It was
wasn't
about as
little bitty.
Epic tentpole as you could get. This is what they tried to go for.
Okay. Well, then let me rephrase that.
All right.
They're taking this epic thing and they're shooting all this new footage to make it an even more epic thing.
Even more coming to fruition.
Yep.
You guys are never going to let me live that down. Okay. So yeah, there's the time for the week. But anyway, so this literally now becomes a dice throw in the hopes that it makes all these numbers, but yet you're hoping that it's going to be any good. Just doesn't scream, faith to me. That why would I want to go ahead and buy into a stream for something that's at best mediocre?
Well, I'm just more curious and excited at this point, but I'm just tired of seeing these articles.
Because it's hit the point where I want to see what it is.
Yeah.
But it's
I want to see what it is. It's become a spectacle piece. It's become a spectacle piece. And the funny part is, the bar for it being any good at this point is so low.
Everyone's just slowing down to watch the train wreck.
Right.
Yeah, it's become this morbid curiosity.
Well, it's not morbid. No. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay,
they're saying that it's everyone's be like, all right, let's see what you've been talking about this for years. Now let's see what this shit is about.
Yeah, let's
the irony
be done.
We
talked about this a few weeks ago. Done talking about
that.
I know. Well, but the irony is, it's funny. You just said something, and you're 100% right. Which is, the irony is, the bar is so low at this point for whatever the hell they're doing.
By the time they get it up, they're going to give a shit.
Well, it's not that they don't give a shit.
Comic nerds give a shit. The pop culture people will.
Right, but the irony is, considering the fact that the comic book nerds give a shit, and the pop culture nerds give a shit, if it's even okay,
it's still going to be deemed a failure.
Well, no, but it won't, because there'll be enough buzz that there'll be some other people who normally wouldn't have bought it to buy it, and then it's a win. I mean, I just don't see how at this point, I almost hate to say it, I don't see at this point how it's a loss.
So it's almost like a blind date, but you went out.
I mean, I don't know where it becomes a loss anymore for Warner Brothers. Or, quite frankly, I don't know where it's a loss, quite frankly, for Snyder. The only question is... I mean, the irony is, I don't even know if it's a loss for Snyder, even if it doesn't achieve where it needs to truly be this epic thing, because the real question is, great, you've done it. Now what? Are you now saying that we're going to relaunch based on this? Or are we going to continue, or are you guys going to work another deal to do another 4-episode thing on HBO Max? I don't know. I would assume they're going to try to
using
relaunch.
it as a springboard for other DC content that they can.
I guess. But why wouldn't it be a springboard? So here's the question. Why wouldn't it be a springboard to another movie?
Because that's, okay, now you're talking about an even bigger deal, the movie against a series now. Okay? And what's the cost between the movie and the series?
At this point, there's not that much difference.
So basically what you're saying is that no matter what investment, via movie or via series, they stand to win based on curiosity.
Well, I mean, the problem is, considering how much, I shouldn't say that. I mean, HBO Max and Warner's current investment is much less because they're basically taking a property that was already there and they're basically adding on to the budget. So the question is, I don't know how much the numbers are about how much they're adding on, but reality.
But also you got to take into mind that those properties in that time and place for that money, now adding on to the new properties, which is now new money, today money, which I'm sure is more money than it was when these properties existed in the first place.
I don't know. All I know is, I mean, and here's the interesting part now that I'm thinking about this even more.
Yeah.
Given everything that's going on with COVID, if you wanted to have if you wanted to use this crew, this group of individuals that are currently in regular Justice League, and you wanted to do a second Justice League movie, would you even, I almost hate to say it, would you even do it in the theater? Because there's a chance that you might not be back in the theaters anytime soon anyway.
Right. So
I'm surprised at this point we didn't get a sequel to Aquaman before we get the Snyder cut. Aquaman was really successful. And so,
well, I think that's been delayed. By the way,
you got those rare cases then.
By the way,
what?
FYI, we still, as of right now, Wonder Woman 84 is still a go.
For December, yeah.
For December. There has been nothing that has said they're not going to try to do this thing in December. Meanwhile, every other movie that I've seen has been like, yeah, we're moving. But we haven't heard anything. I mean, there's been rumblings that supposedly it's going to move, but it hasn't moved.
Well, I'll give you a sucker bet though, on the airing of this show, that in the next few days there will be something. I'll put $1 on it that they'll move it again.
Yeah, we're getting close to that point where they're either going to go for it or they're moving. They're going to have to make a decision.
Well, we're 3 weeks from Thanksgiving, and Wonder Woman's slated for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are slating stuff for Christmas because also too, Thanksgiving.
No, a lot of people have moved out of Christmas already now.
Well,
No Time to Die got moved to April.
Right, and June got moved. A lot of things got moved out of the Christmas weekend, and I almost hate to say it. It makes me wonder if that's not the reason why they're keeping it there.
I think that might be very good chances are that's why it's there. It's kind of that cushion. They're not depending on the Thanksgiving numbers and they're not thinking about the Christmas numbers because of the attendance in the theaters, be it if there are attendance in the theaters and
it's not even that. It's not even that. Think about this. Think of all the competition that was supposed to be there for Christmas weekend, all the different movies that were supposed to come out on Christmas.
Yeah, all the
weekend.
Oscar bait.
Yeah,
not only just the Oscar bait, but all of you had Dune, you had all these things that were supposed to come out. Okay, and all that stuff, all the tentpole kind of stuff, not even the Oscar stuff, the tentpole stuff. Okay,
well,
has all gotten moved. Hold on, has all gotten moved out of has gotten all got moved out of the end of 2020. They're all in 2021 or 2022. They've all been moved there. The point I'm getting at is, if all of that is gone, and you have a movie that you know everybody wants to see, and that whole weekend is open for you, I mean, I think we said this before. Honestly, for example, Mike, how many theaters are in your movie theater?
There's 3 screens in my local theater.
3? What if all 3 had Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I'd go. If it was here in McHenry, yeah, I'd go.
Well, the point being is, for example, where I'm at, there's there's the one by me, there's 16, 20 theaters.
Well,
okay. If there's nothing else going on, you can literally put Wonder Woman on 20 screens.
Yep.
Yeah, but okay, you want to put Wonder Woman on 20 screens, but how many of those 20 screens are going to get filled? See, there's the point
being is, if you can put Wonder Woman on 20 screens, and you still are doing all those social distancing, you might be able to make it safe enough. Because there's no other product that you need to worry about.
Well, yeah, because if all the movies are moving away and are going into April or into different years, the competition is moving right out. And I can see where you're going with this, Jeff, where, there is no competition anymore because all the other movies have moved out of Christmas weekend. And they figure, well, why not give it a shot since everybody else is out of the way? Let's go ahead and let's blast the fuck out of it and put it on all of these screens in the hopes that, well, if we fill up several movie houses, we hope that we can make a return.
Well, and it goes beyond that. You know damn well, look, this movie was a movie that people wanted to see before all this happened. Now imagine if it's the first blockbuster or major tentpole that's going to come out
in 2020.
In 2020, when everybody's been waiting for some fucking thing that they can go to the movies.
People are still cautious to go into crowds. People don't want to go into crowded indoor events yet.
Right.
No, a lot of people,
but at the same time,
that whole thing,
But at the same time,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because
you go ahead.
Anyway, in Logan Theater, they tried opening it up for a little while, and it didn't work. They tried doing that with the Regal here in Chicago, and it didn't work either. See, people are just not ready for the whole.
Well, but here's this question. Here's the question, and this is really the bigger question: is it that people weren't ready? Now, there's some of it that people aren't ready, but some of it is. We talked about this before. What movie have they put out that any of us are like, yep, we'll go to the movie to go see that?
Yes, we all would go to see Wonder Woman 84. We all agreed to that.
Right.
I know.
But that's the reason why, quite frankly, this hasn't worked with a lot of other movies. Is there's nothing, I mean, like Tenet. Tenet was supposed to be a big thing. But here's the thing. Tenet is a standalone movie that nobody knew anything really about. And I'm sure it's a great movie, and I'm sure I'll watch it when it comes on demand. But
it's from the guy who did the Inception. That's all we know.
Right. It's a Nolan movie. Okay, great. He did Batman, and he did Inception. Great, wonderful. We don't know anything about this versus had it been, perfect example. Mike's talked about this. How many times, Mike, if it was Black Widow, Mike might have been there.
I'm going.
Mike would have been there.
I'll wear the gloves. I'll wear the hazmat suit. I'm going. I want to see it.
Right. MCU fans might have been there in August to go watch movies if it had been Black Widow.
Let's just hope that there's 50 or 100,000 of you that feel the same way.
Well, I think that quite frankly, it's not just 100. I don't think it's just us people at this point. I think there are some people who are literally like, I can't wait to get out and go do something like a movie. And at this point, it's such a novel thing on its own at this point because there are so many movies that the movies have been going so far that there are people who, quite frankly, I think you're going to get numbers that are good numbers. It's just a matter of
how are you going to go.
Look, I mean, look at what people are willing to go do outside right now. you and I, all three of us are always shocked when we see people doing stuff.
Yeah,
and we're like, what are they thinking?
Remember when the early days of the when this hit and they had to close the trail along the Lakeshore Drive?
Yeah.
Because there's too many people jogging. They're all at home. Everyone, people working or whatever, or people's more time on their hands, so everyone's out jogging, and everyone's like assholes and elbows on the trail on LSD.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Lightfoot shut it down.
Yeah, well, that's what's happened again.
And now we got another week, but things are starting to get cold now. Well, this week the weather's going to be decent, where people can get the last of their outdoor projects done before the fall, before the winter hits. Everyone's looking. It's probably going to be a really a long winter. So everyone that wants to get out this week, we'll see how people want to go out and do one last little event.
One last little event, one last little thing. But the only thing is now, with everything shutting down in such a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably before we end this thing, we should probably talk about Connery, obviously.
Yeah. So that sucked. Was it Saturday morning? I think. Yeah, it was on Halloween. Got the news broke in the morning that Sean Connery passed away at age 90, and that's unfortunate. I remember seeing my one standout memory is just seeing The Hunt for Red October in the theater, and went to the premiere that weekend. I think it was with a friend of mine, and the lighting the brightness on the screen was set really low, so all the exterior shots, like when the submarine is dodging the torpedoes and going through the deep trenches in the canyons or whatever deep in the sea. No one in the screen knew what was going on. All we heard was the sound effects. And everyone was just laughing. We're chuckling at each other because we can't see what the fuck the submarine is doing. And then they go back to the interior shot and, you say, good work, Lieutenant. Stuff like that. But also one of my favorite lines, I've talked about this before, from Never Say Never Again. One of my favorite lines from Sean Connery is James Bond. And they're playing some video game for world domination.
I remember this scene.
And Bond says, "Could we play one last game for the rest of the world, win or lose?" So.
Well,
and a friend of mine was my friend Dave, God rest his soul. He's a big Indiana Jones fan. He loved Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's a solid movie.
And one thing I didn't know that Sean Connery and Harrison Ford were only like 12 years apart.
Yeah.
But they were father and son, which was kind of weird, but it works.
Well,
but yeah, he was awesome actor, did some great films.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those situations, like with any actor or actress, people tend to dredge up, oh, but this was in the headlines, and oh, that was in the headlines. And, you think to yourself, yeah, well, you got to remember, actors, like everybody else in the world, okay, they're human, they're not perfect. Did they do things that were not acceptable? Haven't we all? But I mean, some are more severe than others. But yeah, and of course, Sean Connery was no exception. Because, when you have old actors die, well, they're not here to defend themselves, so then they dredge up all of the stuff that they did, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, and you're just like, can't you just let it stand for what it is? He was a good actor. He did a lot of good roles. Okay. And you know what? That's why actors and actresses for a lot of people, that's why creativity is the mad genius. Because it is just that. There are a lot of mad geniuses in the world. Okay.
So what was your favorite Bond, Ivan? Was it Sean?
Between Sean Connery and then Roger Moore. That's my 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the guys for me. And Red October. Yeah, I saw that and I thought it was a great movie. Anything that Sean Connery did for the 007 Enterprise, which, was extraordinary. And yeah, you know what? Like I was saying before, yeah, so people tend to dredge up all this news and I'm just like,
but they're not here to defend themselves anymore. So why bother with any of that?
See, it's interesting because you're saying that, and I don't know about you, Mike. I didn't see anything like that. Did you?
No.
Well, okay, because I mean, there was a thing that went out. I mean, well, just like with what happened in the 1973 Academy Awards when John Wayne had his say, and that raised a bunch of eyebrows, and then Sean Connery was allegedly a wife beater, and that he was tough on women and stuff like that. It wasn't just in the movies, which but I'm thinking, but all this stuff happened in a different time and place, and okay, I'm not condoning it. No, white beating is bad, and white beating is terrible. And
he was 6'2".
It was just like who was the one actor that ended up becoming a policeman after a while, and then he also got in Dutch with the whole white beating thing.
Screech?
No, not Scrooge.
Columbo?
No, not Columbo. Not Columbo.
He was in a lot of films. I'm on his IMDb. He did a lot of films.
I was going to say Van Damme, but no, that's not right either.
Not Seagal?
Seagal.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a...
Seagal moved to, Russia and is weird and whacked out now.
He was a wannabe martial arts guru. No.
Yeah, which only goes to show, it takes all kinds.
He had a long storied career. He had a lot of TV in the 50s, and then...
Yeah, no.
He did a lot of stuff. But again, people do, unsavory shit, and...
Well, like I said, I mean, honestly, Ivan, you're the first person I've heard talk about this at all.
Well, go on the internet. You'll see it.
Okay. Because everything I've seen from people is talking about what movies they liked and all that stuff. It's funny, though, because, Mike, I don't know. I mean, other than Never Say Never, Sean Connery wasn't our Bond, I mean, so to me, it's funny because, I think of him, I don't think about Bond as much because he really wasn't.
That's because
in the 80s, watching the old Bond films on cable, growing up.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird, I guess, because it was I'd be like, oh, James Bond. Well, why does James Bond look like a totally different guy, and why does he look totally different? Oh, different actor. Oh, okay, whatever.
I mean, Goldfinger from Russia with Love, Dr. No.
It was a franchise like any franchise. I mean, 007. And in fact, the writer of the books, believe it or not, wasn't all that crazy about the different...
and I talked about this later, I think in an earlier episode, but I had a friend who had all the Ian Fleming books, and he said that Timothy Dalton was the closest approximation to James Bond as his character as portrayed in the books.
Right.
Ugh. Yuck. Having watched the Timothy Dalton James Bond, no thank you. It just didn't work for me.
Taste, right?
Wow. Anyway, and that's the reason why it's a book. That's in a book, and that's not the movie. Yeah. But I think what's interesting is you look at some of the other things beyond Bond that Connery did. For example, we mentioned, a lot of people talk about The Hunt for Red October.
Yep.
I'm surprised how many people talk about that movie that he did with Nicolas Cage, The Rock.
Yeah, the Michael Bay film, yeah.
The Michael Bay film. There are a lot of people who still talk about that. Obviously, Indiana Jones. It's funny because I totally spaced. He's in Highlander.
Yeah.
Both Highlander movies. He's in the two Highlander movies
Greetings,
too.
Highlander.
So, and then there's other things. For example.
Is that the same Highlander movie that they spawned the Highlander series, or is that two different things?
Same thing, yeah.
It's the same thing. They spawned it from that, but yeah.
And Highlander too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Of course, The Untouchables.
Right, The Untouchables.
Right. Okay, he was good in that.
When his guys pulls a knife, you'll pull it.
He does a cameo at the end of Robin Hood Prince's Thieves.
I remember that. I saw that in the
Kevin
theater.
Costner.
He was the king. Yeah, King Lionheart or whatever.
Yeah. It was an untitled. Nobody.
He was King Richard. Yes.
It was King Richard.
And then it got spoofed by Mel Brooks because I can't remember who they brought in.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Was it Patrick Stewart? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Robin Hood Men in Tights. Yeah.
Right. One of my favorite movies that I feel that Connery's done that's of a little bit different vein. I don't know if either one of you ever saw Finding Forrester.
I saw bits and pieces on cable.
Okay.
But yeah, did he get an Oscar nod for that?
No, he probably should have. He was really good at it. That's a really solid dramatic movie for him. And he didn't do a lot of good solid dramatic movies, ironically enough. A lot of great movies, but nothing, that would make you sit there and go, okay, that's an Oscar kind of performance.
He did some other smaller ones like The Presidio and Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes. Yeah, that was not, that's an example of one of those movies where it's like, yeah, I pretty much spent most of that movie watching Catherine Zeta-Jones sit there and slip and move her ass.
He was in Time Bandits.
I know. That's why I was like, where would? See, I haven't seen that movie in ages. I can't remember where, at all. But
then there's the picture. I remember one of my friends changed his profile picture to his role in Zardoz, where he pretty much wear a red diaper and suspenders, holding a revolver. Which is a pretty dumb costume, but
yeah. Some people put pictures of that up where. Because on my page, I was like, what do you remember? What is your favorite Connery? And boom, like
Zardoz.
70. Like there's that. There's I was just surprised how many people. I think I asked besides Bond, what else? What do you remember for? And a lot of The Rock, a lot of Red October, Highlander.
Didn't he do a voice acting job on Watership Down?
You know what else he did? He did that.
I don't think so.
He did that lousy Dragonheart movie.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. That was dumb as shit.
That was
with Dennis Quaid, where it was the knight and he was the voice of the dragon. But it's not the dragon. It's Sean Connery talking, and it's a CGI dragon. And I remember the CGI was not. It was not that good.
Well, it wasn't that good of a movie. I mean, It was just kind of like, yeah. That's one of those times where I think Connery kind of looked at his career and went, I did this fucking movie? Fuck. What was I thinking? Oh, here's your check. Here's a check. I'm good. Never mind.
Who do I owe? Who do I owe this favor to?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just kind of interesting because you look at his career and it's like, okay, yeah, he did Bond. And then the interesting part is, not only did he do Bond, he was an integral part of the Highlander series, too. And then, at one point, he's in the Indiana Jones series, although ironically, he only got to do one movie of that. And in some ways, that kind of made the movie in some ways with that movie. But, yeah, I mean, his body of work beyond James Bond is just...
Well, yeah, and there's no disputing that, not whatsoever. Not whatsoever. I mean, like I said, it just goes back to what I said. He's a great actor. He, like most actors, he
says he won one Oscar. Yeah, he won Best Actor and Supporting Actor for The Untouchables.
Did he really? Okay, I didn't remember. Well, it is memorable. He's got that whole, they shoot one of us, you put one of theirs in the morgue, that whole thing.
That's right. They put one of your guys in the hospital, you send one of them to the morgue.
Right.
That's the Chicago way.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Thank
you for the memories.
Yeah.
I didn't think, I don't know. I didn't think Untouchables was that great of a movie.
I liked it.
I liked it.
Was De Niro as I didn't think it was great.
It was great.
I enjoyed it. It's not like best movie ever, but
right.
And it's not the best mobster movie. That's true.
It held its own. Okay, and then of course, I guess I'm a little biased too because I come back from, Robert Stack and that series of The Untouchables.
Elliot Ness as the
Yeah, which I find out years later that a lot of that was more fiction than nonfiction.
But the point being, I guess, you think about some of the people who were in that movie and what you'd think what it could have been compared to what we got. And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it could have been, there was a lot of hype on that movie. And the reason why people remember that movie, quite frankly, is because of all the Connery lines.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm sorry. And the one scene where De Niro's got the baseball bat.
Yeah. At the
big
baseball
dinner
with all
story.
the other monsters,
A lot of that was filmed in Chicago too.
Right. But like I said, it's.
It didn't float your boat, but what can I say?
No, like I said, it's a good movie. I just thought with who you got and what you could do with that storyline and what you could do, that could have been like a real Oscar nominee kind of movie. That really could have been something. That could have been like a Scarface, or it could have been like a Godfather, and it kind of didn't get there.
Basically, you got The Untouchables, and it ran along the lines of Dick Tracy.
It was nominated for a bunch of Oscars. Won a couple of Golden Globes and some other BAFTA awards and whatnot. But I like The Untouchables.
It was okay.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not saying, it's a horrible movie, but.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you're going to address it like Dick Tracy with Warren Beatty.
That's apples and oranges. That's
apples and oranges. But if you're going to go there, that movie doesn't
that's a steak dinner with a McDonald's Happy Meal. That's.
Hey, wait, whoa! That movie's. Hold on a second. That movie is better than people think it is.
What?
That Dick Tracy movie is better than people think it is.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that it wasn't one. It wasn't.
They were going for the comic authenticity and the comic kind of cinematography.
Well, that's what they were going for. They were going for the whole cartoon look of it.
Well, the other thing is
the layout of how that whole thing came together. And it was something that Beatty was. He was really wanting. He was gung-ho about wanting to do that production, and wanted to do it that way. So,
by the way, he's the reason why we can't get more Dick Tracy shit.
Warren Beatty.
Yeah. Warren Beatty. He's got an option to whatever. He's got, this is an example of where sometimes Hollywood now is a little bit more careful than Hollywood was in the past about giving out options and things for different things. And apparently Warren Beatty has an option to anything that would be next created by, on Dick Tracy. Cause apparently Tribune, for the 50th anniversary, Tribune wanted to do a Dick Tracy syndicated, or they wanted to do a series that they wanted to bring in they wanted to do a Dick Tracy series, and they were quite a ways down the way, and Warren Beatty got wind of it, and he's like, if you're going to do that, that's great. Make sure you're going to pay me. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then
that's because he owns the franchise.
I don't know about owns the franchise, but he would get a percentage. Right. He would get a percentage because of the fact of something having to do with he has an option for additional movies.
Is it Chester Gould's estate or something like that, or?
All right, I'll give you a little light on that whole Chester Gould thing, because it was
who owns the rights to the Dick Tracy franchise?
Okay, Chester Gould's son, who picked up the strip after Chester Gould passed away, and I guess it was he that was approached by Beatty to do, to get the blessing upon the movie. And then, of course, I guess they finagled something in a contractual situation, and of course, I guess it made it. He made it worth Chester Gould's son's while to say, well, yeah, okay, fine. If you want to hold on to a piece of cartoon history, sure, I got no objection to it. And at the time, the circulation of comic strips themselves were diminishing by that time. So it was a way to say, well, I can cash out, and what better way to cash out than have Warren Beatty have a piece of it? At least I know that somewhere down the line, if anything becomes of it, I know if he's involved with it, I'm still going to get some money from it too.
So I'm looking at a Deadline article from back in 2011, where it basically, apparently this is a court thing, where Warren Beatty won a lawsuit regarding this, that apparently, says here, a federal judge in LA stopped Tribune from reclaiming the television and movie rights to the comic strip detective, and granted a summary judgment in the actor-director's favor, the ruling that the fact that Beatty had begun work on a half-hour special, which had Warren dressed in a Dick Tracy character answering questions from a film critic, Leonard Maltin, satisfied a use or lose it clause agreement with Tribune to produce a Dick Tracy movie, TV show, or lose the rights to the character. Now, what Warren wants to do with the Dick Tracy character, whose rights he acquired from Tribune Media Services in 1984, of course you can't imagine. So the point is that, yes, apparently by law, and I don't know how much longer this holds, or if this is a permanent thing that he tried to do it and now he gets to keep them. So I don't know.
I think it was for an indefinite amount of time, if my understanding is correct. Yeah. It's kind of like what happened to the Speed Racer property. It was owned by Sylvester Stallone and what the hell? I'm trying to think of his name. Anyway,
get this. According to this, so apparently that special that I mentioned, which featured Beatty talking as Tracy, only ran on Turner Classic Movies in 2009, and quite frankly, Beatty only made it to keep his rights intact. So apparently Warren Beatty, who's probably at this point, I mean, does Warren Beatty even remember? You know?
Well, at this point, that's probably one of the main things that's still keeping him in the chips. Is that decision? Because I haven't seen him in anything in the longest time.
No, yeah, it's been a while.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, at one time he was a hot property, but then he went from being this hot property to poof.
Well, and at one point he was dating Madonna, right? Wasn't he at some point?
I think maybe during the filming he might have hooked up.
Yeah, no, he was.
Together. That was shortly after, Sean Penn and Madonna got divorced and took a bath with Shanghai Surprise. MGM.
He's in the documentary movie that she did. The one that Truth or Dare thing, where they did she's on tour and they're filming all over.
Right.
Well, and the thing about it was that Truth or Dare thing happened was because they were trying to make the money back on fucking Shanghai Surprise. MGM recut that whole movie. Half of it ended up on the floor, and it was still terrible upon release. It's probably the worst thing that Sean Penn and Madonna ever made.
Well, probably, but like I said, I just think it's kind of amusing because have either of you ever seen the Madonna Truth or Dare?
I have.
No. You have, okay.
No.
Yeah,
I might have seen bits of it. Maybe I don't know if it aired on MTV or something.
Well, there's the one part where they're playing Truth or Dare and Madonna with a Coke bottle. Shows how she can give head. And the other thing I remember is at one point she sits on some black guy's lap and she's like, "Oh my God, your dick is so big." I remember that. And I remember at one point, Warren Beatty's just on camera with this look on his face like, why am I even here? Why am I even on camera? What the hell's going on?
That whole shock factor that is Madonna.
Yeah, well, but at the height of her popularity, right. So yeah.
So I guess that'll do it for this week. Thoughts, people?
Well,
Stories?
other than going to be on Spinning Wheel again on Sunday, via Facebook Live. This Sunday coming up, that's the 8th, right? The 8th.
Yes.
And, let's see. Let me see. Julie's birthday is coming up. Happy birthday, Julie.
Happy birthday, Julie.
Happy birthday, Julie.
And, hoping, for the best for her, and everything. And, really nothing too spectacular. Just, I know that next week we, converge on this, table. When we converge back to the table here, I'm sure we'll...
Assemble! Jeff, you got anything going on this weekend?
Not anything that I can think of off the top of my head.
Not the bottom of it.
Or the bottom of it either. But yeah, I think it's, by the time that this airs, we're already going to be in the midst of whatever the hell happens. We're going to, the new three ring circus from the election. So we'll see.
The next thing 2020 is thrown at us. So
yeah.
I have to say, man, that, if anybody thinks that, after all is said and done is going to be said and done, we're a long way off from said and done.
No. Well, and the other, like I said, look, with the amount of people that have voted in advance by mail and all those things, some states haven't even counted some of those ballots. So, this is, but ironically, I hate to say it, this is the one time where it's kind of frustrating. I wish, I get that the media make a lot of money on this night of election night, and it's a big night for them, and they get to do all their little wonk shit and all that stuff. But I really wish they would kind of be like, yeah, we're kind of not doing anything tonight, and we're going to wait until we have...
I agree. And you know what, Jeff? I'm going to agree with you on that. I think until we know for sure, when everything has been counted and when everything has been tallied and when everything's been taken care of, then I think is when we should go ahead and do the big ballyhoo. But
that's not how we do it. So
but that's not how it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Of course not. And we all know what's going to come of this. I mean, most people I know are going to know what's going to become of this. And because also too, the Supreme Court pretty much did a snafu about some of the states saying that, yeah, we're going to include those ballots even after Election Day.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. I don't know if it's a snafu or not. Anyway, we'll this is stuff
we'll
for next
discuss.
week.
There'll be plenty to discuss next week, and
See
where things are a week from now.
Yes,
because it's Get your popcorn ready. That's all I'm going to say.
It's gonna be
get your theater candy ready, and make sure you don't stand by the windows.
While you're waiting for election results, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast hosting platform, i.e. Google, Spotify, Apple, Podbean. Of course, we're on Instagram and Twitter. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe, and you'll get new content. Of course, all the crazy stories from our News of the Squared extra show. We give you 2 shows for the price of 1. That's all those crazy stories are on our Facebook page. That's Squares Roundtable Podcast. And, of course, Ivan's on Twitch. That's Javan Ivan at twitch.tv. Or follow him on Facebook. And, of course, he does some Facebook Lives and spins his awesome music. And you can send us an email if you like. sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us for episode 123. Hope we've been...
Hey, real fast before we go.
Yeah.
As long as we're going to have fun with this, is the one thing I'm going to say. Well, let's have fun with this. What state? Let's all make a bet, and then we'll figure it out for next week. What state is the one state we're all going to be sitting there when we come back on next week?
Yeah.
That is going to turn into the 2000 Florida thing.
2000 Florida and the hanging chads. It's got to be Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is the one state. They shut down the one in Wisconsin where they can count the ballots after up to several days after the election, as long as they're post-dated before Election Day. It's got to be Pennsylvania.
It's going to be Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that'll be the one to watch. We'll see. I'm no political strategist, but we'll see where that looks like the one's going to be the one.
I'll go a different direction than you guys. I'm I'm going to say Texas.
Texas is traditionally been red,
right?
But I know that with Austin and the other like southern parts of the
Yeah,
state
I
are turning
don't-
blue. Oh, so that one might be the one that.
No,
I don't
but
know.
you're right. I mean, I don't. Like I said, maybe that's a bad call. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like what? It's like I'm trying to think. What is the one state that's going to screw up? You know what? Scratch that. I'll stick to Wisconsin. I'll stick to Wisconsin. Although it could be Florida. I'm going to be shocked by it if it's Florida again.
I'm making my bets for
Buy your
Pennsylvania.
turkeys now, so that way you've got them for Thanksgiving when the grocery stores burn down from Civil War. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.